Berta J, and you're back in my kitchen with me today. It's around Christmas time, and I thought a cookie recipe would be really good for you. So I selected one, which is one of my favorites and my kids' favorites. It's oatmeal cookies with raisins. I call them cowboy cookies. I got this recipe from Forks Over Knives, changed it a little bit, and I'm going to share it with you. And I hope you like it as much as we do. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to take a cookie sheet and you're going to line it with parchment paper, because you're not going to use any oil. You're just going to line it with parchment paper and your cookies won't stick. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to get a bowl and you're going to put together your dry ingredients, okay? The first thing you're going to put in is 2/3 of a cup of oat flour. Now, oat flour, you can go out and buy it if you want to, but there's another way you can make oat flour. If you have a Vitamix or a very powerful blender, you can take rolled oats, which is also in it, and you can put it into the Vitamix and blend it until you get flour. That's what I did. I didn't have any oat flour. You're going to take a cup of rolled oats, 1/3 of a cup of whole wheat flour. The next thing you're going to put in baking powder. No aluminum in your baking powder, and Rumford is the one that I use. No aluminum. Take that, dump it in. A 1/4 of a teaspoon of both baking powder and the baking soda. Okay? Then you're going to use a 1/4 of a teaspoon, of salt. Now, you can use Celtic salt. I also use Himalayan salt. What salt does is it just sort of puts all the flavors together. If you find out that you're tasting a recipe, it doesn't taste quite right, just pinch some salt and just put a little teeny bit in and stir it up. You don't need a lot of salt, but it just melds the flavors, brings them together. So we have a 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt. The last thing is, well, not the last of the ingredients, but almost, a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon. And the very last one is a nutmeg. I think I've told you about nutmegs before. And I'm going to do about 12 back and forth. What you do is you're going to stir this up, because in a minute you're going to put it in with all of the other, like the wet ingredients, okay? So you've got all the dry things sitting off to the side here. And now we're going to take the bowl, which you're going to really mix everything in. And you're going to use this is almond butter. I would imagine you could use any butter, any nut butter you wanted to. If you wanted to use walnut butter, pecan butter or something, you could do that. But what it is, it's like the oil that's in most regular cookie recipes that are not vegan. It gives it like a binding. It also tastes. It's very delicious. Get it all, every drop, because you're going to need all of that to bind this cookie recipe together. It's going to be stiff. It's 1/3 of a cup of unsweetened applesauce. I just use Mott's applesauce. You can get your organic if you want, but I just use Mott's unsweetened applesauce. And what I do is I'm going to mix these two together. 1/2 cup of evaporated cane juice and a little bit of coconut sugar as well. And you're going to stir that up as well into this mixture. So mix up a little bit better after you've put in a whole teaspoon of vanilla. So now you're just going to blend this up really well. So now you take your dry mixture that we started at the beginning, and you're going to put it right in. Now, we're not finished yet before we put it on the cookie sheet. What you need to do, I have 1/3 of a cup of raisins. When you work with raisins, they're very sticky. One of my tips to you is when you're working with raisins, make sure you put a little flour on them, because the flour will allow them to be suspended in the batter when whatever you're making. Could be muffins, but we're making cookies, so it's going to suspend. That flour is going to get in there and it's going to suspend it in the dough. So put a little flour, which I did, on 1/3 of a cup of raisins. You could also use the same recipe, do the same thing, and you could, up until this point, And you could use a third of a cup or a couple tablespoons of chocolate chips, like your favorite chocolate chips. Everything's incorporated in there, and that's what it's going to look like, very stiff. It should make a couple of dozen cookies for you, and they are very good. What you're going to do first is you're going to go in, and you'll get about the size of a walnut, about that size. Roll it around. You're going to start putting them on the sheet. Keep them about 2 inches apart because of that leavening that's in there with the baking powder, baking soda. They're gonna spread just a wee bit, not much, because you're gonna press them down and turn them into little hockey pucks almost. So then after they're all mashed down, what we're gonna put them in a 350 degree preheated oven and cook them about 15 minutes, 12 to 15 minutes. Look at them and see if they're golden brown. A little brown. They're already brown, but see if they're brown. I didn't say why you mash them down. And so that it won't be like a puck size, it won't be like a golf ball. You're gonna mash them down just so it'll be like a little cookie, a small cookie. So I'm gonna put it in the oven, 350 degrees, preheated oven for 15 minutes, okay? Okay, so I'm taking out the cookies now. And this is what they look like. I think they look delicious. I'm gonna put them out on my old Christmas. See that? They grew a little bit. The other thing I wanted to tell you is if you want them crispy, these are gonna be kind of chewy, soft. But if you like them crispy, crunchy, just leave them in the oven. Instead of 15 minutes, go for about 20 minutes, okay? And that should give you your crispy, delicious cowboy cookie, oatmeal raisin cookie, whichever one you want to call it. So here we go with our Christmas cookies, and I hope you enjoy them. The other thing I wanted to share with you is that I will be taking a break until January 9th of 2018. You can, however, follow me on Instagram, and I'll be just still making different foods, and also Facebook. Okay? So I have really enjoyed talking with you and sharing with you my recipes, and I hope you enjoy them. And I'll see you again next year. Happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Or should I have said it the other way? Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. Okay, bye for now.